Here's the thing about your movie, why I made a curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe Festival. Community, heart, you're doing it.
This is Like It Is Radio, Black Intelligent Talk Radio.
Good morning, Las Vegas. How you doing? It's time. And that's the way it is. It's your man, Franklyn G. Franklyn Verley, F to the Jizzle, you know, whatever you want to call me. I try not to respond to some negative stuff, but I will answer to anything. And we are sitting here, as you know, Like It Is Radio. Always glad it has time to kind of connect you with the larger black diaspora through Black Intelligent Talk Radio. You can always check out what we do at Like It Is Radio on Facebook or likeitisradio.com, or you know, just reach out. And I got to always say, and good morning and welcome to Cheryl.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I am doing wonderful.
Well, you always look wonderful. I always appreciate your time and energy and sitting with me.
Well, thank you. Thank you for allowing me this wonderful opportunity, an opportunity that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So thank you.
Oh, well, you know, we have to say thank you for putting up with it. And as always, you know, we just try to keep you connected. And I also, if I may, as one of our favorite callers say for a moment, digress, because I definitely wanted to, last week, you know, we family here, we family. So let's just talk about it, because in as much as I would definitely like to extend an apology if it needed, definitely from the bottom of my heart, in as much as the dialogues that we pursue and ensue here with some of our dialogue people. That means the callers. Now, yeah, sometimes it gets a little rambunctious. There's some furniture moving, but do and do trust. It's all based in love and caring. And, you know, while I may have bantered a little bit too much with that gentleman last week, I do want to extend an apology to him because, you know, I thought we was playing, but that's okay. Maybe sometimes I have to sit behind this chair and not play. So I do appreciate the listenership and the compassion that they extend. So, you know, I'm going to do like Malcolm, because we are on the Malcolm Eve birthday precipice.
Yes.
Malcolm said sorry. Malcolm recognized that there was a transformation that happens within all men. And if you examine his life as you examine your own, and even my own, as I had the ability to do, because last night I had a chance to sit with Baba, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, and we dialogued. He came in a little late. You know how intellectuals are. They miss their flights and things of that nature, but it's all compassionate love. And we sat and we talked. He talked to me. So in that vein, I would say the transformation that is occurring and is happening as we hope in our lives, as it had in Malcolm's life, when he became when he became El Hajj Malik Shabazz, after recognizing the true compassion of all individuals on this God's given earth and the inalienable rights that we should all be able to get along. And that's what he did. You know, he tried to enlighten us. He tried to encourage us. He tried to instill in us some pride. And sometimes he may have stepped on some toes. But towards the end of his beautiful life, because it was a beautiful life, there were many transformations. And I endure and ask you to endure with me, as one may be happening within the confines of the radio station with myself. But as you know, he came back and he said he just wanted to work with people who want to work with him. And it wasn't based in color, race, or ethnicity, because he recognized the compassionate life that all people prescribe to. So in that nature, I do appreciate your indulgence. You know, because sometimes, you know, we going to have some fun in here, but if it's not perceived as fun, I do apologize. So for whatever that may be, take it how you want. I do appreciate the listenership, and sometimes we're going to go at it, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't, and that doesn't mean that we don't care. At least for myself speaking, I definitely want you to know I appreciate the time that you spend with us here and with me and Cheryl. And today we're going to talk about Malcolm X, because it's Malcolm X weekend, if you will. Because, you know, everybody got to figure out their own way. So I'm trying to do that, and I appreciate your listenership. And if, like, we go at it, let's go at it. Yes. But when it's over, let it be over. Right. Because there always should be a way forward. And that's what Malcolm showed us. That's what Dr. King showed us. That's what we see in our daily lives. We see that with Jesse. We see that even here with our own O.J. Simpson. There's a way forward. We're going to find the way forward with Bill Cosby, because don't think in any less way we won't be as controversial as we have to be, because without us dialoguing about these things, it doesn't happen. So I do appreciate that, and I do extend my sincere gratitude and thanks for those who are compassionate enough to work and move forward. Yes. And let's just move
I think,
forward.
You know what, Franklyn, at the ending of the day, all of us are very passionate and have compassion for this community. Right. We all want the best for this community. We may not always go about it in the direction that we think that one should, but you know what? Like you said, at the ending of the day, we're all family. We have the right to disagree respectfully.
And
We
even
have the
non-respectfully, we family.
and
We
have
ain't
the
going
right
nowhere.
Right. And I think that, the bottom line is we all just have compassion for this community. We want the best for this community. We want to make sure that whoever is representing this community is representing us. And, something else that I've thought about is we're not just in this community here. We're really just all over.
Oh, we're in
So we
Vegas.
want to be represented. And I think that that's what we're wanting from our elected officials, is to be represented and to make sure that we're getting the representation that we need so that we can continue to grow as a community, as a people.
All right. Well, she said that in a delicate voice. I wish I could have such a delicate voice. But unfortunately, I got a little baritone. But in any event, we do appreciate the listenership. And as I said, moving forward, we're just going to talk about Malcolm because it is May 18th. And tomorrow is Malcolm X's birthday. We will be having a very large event. That's right, Malcolm X Day 2018. I'd like to thank Just Flow, Lady AK, and the Black Girls Inspired, and all the people who really started this thing. They started it a few years ago. It, it needed a little work, so we're working on it together, and we brought it back bigger, stronger, better. And in that vein, we'll be celebrating Malcolm X and, if you will, Malik El-Shabazz Earth Day. Yes, it's his Earth Day, because I'll explain that principle at the end of the show, because his mother's the one who gave birth. It's his Earth Day, the day that he came to this energy level, this consciousness level, this thing we call Earth. That is the day that the universe focused on him to bring him here. So in any event, as you would know, that's African philosophy, because it's not your birthday. It's your mother who gives birth. It's actually your Earth Day.
Your Earth Day.
So in any event, as you would know, we need to celebrate that, as most top-tier cities already are. You know, they do it big in New York. They even, check this out, they even doing it big in London. They're doing it big in London, y'all. Because that's how come we can't get Professor James Small. My man, he's in London. But we got the representative of all times. I was able to secure and get, as you know, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, who will be lecturing us on Saturday night at the West Las Vegas Library Theater on Malcolm. Yes, he had the, if you will, the preeminent class on Malcolm X at City College of New York City. You could never get in that class. I keep telling y'all, you could never get in that class. It was always, even, I'm telling you, y'all don't remember, see, back in the young heads, they don't know, you had to register by filling out a card, and then they gave you a little card that you had to turn back in, and they counted how many students were in the class. But in any event, long story short, that class was always filled when your brother man wanted to try to register it, even the first day. Yes. Oh, you chose something. We have to post that picture. She just showed us a picture of Baba Smalls lecturing on the OA. But we got Dr. Leonard Jeffries, the preeminent historian, if you were the master teacher. And as I said, you could never get in this class unless you was really, really in that registration line, 6 o'clock in the morning, get the card, and then even if you want to do the sign-in afterward. I went there 4:30 one time. Class ain't till 6. There was already 30 people looking at me like police. But in any event, we have the opportunity to sit with this master teacher. He's an octogenarian, if you will. He is in his stool chief in Ghana. I can tell you so many things. I have a business in Ghana. He takes trips to Ghana. Last night, I had a chance to just sit with him because his flight came a little late. We were supposed to have dinner with him and the group for Mastering Mindsets, and my man Debo, if you will. And then, also we was going to get down with Byron. He just left up out of here, that New York connection with the Masters. But in any event, we were all going to try to have to get dinner with Lisa Mo. His flight came in. He missed it, but we got on a later flight, and he and I had a chance to dialogue. And like he said, he taught thousands. He had thousands of students. Most of us, unfortunately, didn't. We took the classes. We not have heard it until we were later. So now I look at all these master teachers that I was blessed to walk, and he was talking about himself. And I was like, man, I'd have seen a few of these master teachers. I'm so glad I had a chance to sit with, peace be upon him, Dr. Ben Yakamin, Dr. John Henry Clarke. Oh, man, come on. Y'all know Frances Cress Welsing and I were good friends. Our pictures are together on Facebook. I got 2 interviews with her, and I went to D.C. the Power Talk series, sat with her, Binoka Rashidi. So I'm going to take some calls and we can get in there and talk about Malcolm, because we want to get your views on Malcolm, because tomorrow we will be celebrating Malcolm X's birthday at the West Las Vegas Arts Center and the Library Theater. I'd like to thank everybody involved with that. We have so many poets from Keith Brantley. We got my man Adrian Dugan. We got Miss Miles, Tiffany Miles. We got some of the Griot Nation and the Black Girls Inspired putting it together with Miss Just Flow, Lady AK. I know they got some poets out there, and we're going to put down the word with Malcolm. And then check this out. It starts at 10 a.m. Saturday morning at the West Las Vegas Library Amphitheater. We're going outside, y'all. We're going to do the first part of this thing outside. We are being represented by our nation, our cultural national brothers. That's right. The Native Americans who are here, who kind of, they got that melanin thing working too. And they've had some dealings with the man who runs this place too. So our situations are the same. But as you know, Malcolm X was born in Omaha, Nebraska. But we're going to have some celebration. And hey, Remix, what up, son? How you living, man? All right. And as you know, we'll be celebrating with our Native American brothers who are going to open the ceremony at 10 a.m. So if you want to come out and see some Native American, our brothers, and how they worship and how they bring in the morning and the sun, we're going to do that at 10 a.m. at the West Las Vegas West Las Vegas Arts Center, Amphitheater, outside in the back. We're going to worship the sun, y'all. We're going to do it the way they should be done. And we're getting some participation from several members of the group. And that will commence at 10 a.m. roughly. And that's at really 941 West Lake Mead Boulevard. Bring your children. It's Saturday. School's almost over. They got a little extra energy. They need to know about Malcolm. Yes. We got some poets that are going to be out there. And then another beautiful thing we'll be doing is, there's this place in D.C. Some of y'all heard of it. Some of us have even been blessed to go. It's called the Smithsonian. They specialize in American history. They have several buildings. In case you don't know, the Smithsonian Institute has African American art. They have pop culture. They have the original Lindbergh plane, I believe. I've been there as a kid. They got the Mercury 2 capsule, Skylab. It is the Smithsonian Institute, y'all. The buildings are usually red brick. And as the latest addition is now the Smithsonian Institute, the African American Treasure. So we have something that we've been able to acquire here with Power 88 and myself and Cheryl, my man at Lordland Films, Crazy D. We're going to talk about that in a minute because I ain't forget about our podcast where we kick it to the next level. That's right. You can check that out on Lordland Films on YouTube. And we're in 29 million homes, Cheryl.
29 million.
Because it's 29 million Cox subscribers. Is it 30 million? 30 million? 9 episodes are up there. And you can get it all on Lordland Films on YouTube. You could get it right off your TV. You can see what we look like right off your TV. And the podcast is something that we're trying to do to keep us connected at the more youthful level, if you will, because these kids are on podcast. We got all kind of stuff happening. So if you want to see what happens when 3 different brothers sit down and dialogue with that, that's how we do it. But it's happening at Lordland Films. You can get that on YouTube. And there's so many other things Crazy D has been capturing on our community. With the MLK thing is up there. The several of the things we did for Black History Month. The Antonio Fargas, I think, is somewhere up there. Just go to Lordland Films. Check out what Crazy D's doing. Me and him and Simo put it down on the next level. I had to put that in there because we're going to get some stuff. Because we also got Dr. Jeffries. He's on the way. I'm being texted. He's on the way. So we're going to get a chance to hear what Baba will give us. Thanks again for Ms. Shamika Webb for helping us here, bringing him here, Mastering Mindsets, the city of Las Vegas, the Arts Center, all the ladies over there. Thank you so much. And I do appreciate the ladies over at he's here? Oh, the guest is here? Yeah, you can bring him around. And I do appreciate the Arts Center and, as you know, the Library District, because without their help, we couldn't keep the information that flows through this beautiful valley that I love so much, that is part of me, that I've become part of. Oh, man, I like that, Dashiki. Doc came in here all spanking. It is the time, y'all. It is the time we are hearing, and I'm telling you, we have an opportunity to sit with a master teacher who's going to tell us a little bit about Malcolm, because we got some things going on. As I said, this is all happening at the West Las Vegas Arts Center and the library. We'll be taking over the whole facility. We'll be showing the Smithsonian Institute's newly released, called Malcolm X, The Lost Tapes. We'll be showing that just twice. They only granted us twice, y'all. 11-ish and 2-ish. That's I had to submit all kind of paperwork, and they woo. But we doing Malcolm big, just like many other cities, whether it's New York, Chicago, Miami, Los Angeles is doing it up big, and London's doing. But we have a chance here to put Vegas on the map again, because this is my home now. I may have been from someplace else, but this is where I reside, and I pay. Yeah, I pay taxes too. I'm an American. But here in Las Vegas, we need to recognize the social consciousness of what brought Malcolm to our forefront. And here we have one of our own master teachers. Can you help him with his health fit for a second in this show? I think you need to bend them the other way. But in any event, this is all happening due to the community's response to what Miss Just Flow, Lady AK, Black Girls Inspired, originally started about 2 years ago with the recognition of Malcolm. And they wanted to make sure that we respected that image. And I do appreciate what they put forth 2 years ago. And now we are coming into the time where we have a master teacher able to tell us the concepts and some of the things we may not have gotten. But I'm going to tell you, if you didn't know Malcolm, you get a chance to hear him. You can also go on YouTube. A lot of that stuff is there. And the best stuff, though, is when you get the people who knew him well, who understand what he was trying to give us. And if also, just as to do a piece, in the current edition of the Urban Voice, able every now and then to pen some things. So I was able to pen this on this publication. The Urban Voice is available out there right now. Yes. It's one of the publications that we have. We have several publications, and this one allows different formats and different varieties. But anyway, I wrote about Malcolm X in that one. And if you get a chance, definitely check out. Big shout out to Joe Abrams and all the staff over there keeping us connected through, it's good to have all these publications. It's good to have these ways of getting information out to the people. So as I see my professor here pulling out the book, we are, open your minds, y'all. Class is about to begin because master teacher, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, a preeminent historian under the City College, if you will, New York, the largest African studies program developed. He had so many great folks, Dr. Scobie himself, Dr. Jeff. I'm not even going to go down the list. I'm going to tell you, when we start talking about what it was back then, when Malcolm's images and stronger, and I'm talking about pre-Spike Lee, he helped this resurgence, but it was already growing in many of our oppressed communities. But due to his dedication and some of the symbolisms that he brought forth in New York at that time, we had the slave theater. We had all these things we could do. Sharpton was young. He was fat then.
The Apollo Theater.
The Apollo Theater. We had Gary Bird, WLIB.
Schomburg Center.
And as you hear, our historian is teaching us. And as you think about it, we don't have LIB anymore, but we got 88. In New York, they don't have black talk radio the way they do here.
Right.
Believe that, sir?
Yeah, but you still have Imhotep Gary Bird.
Yes.
He's a long-distance runner.
Yes.
He started at 14 or 15 with his radio career, and he is still strong. He's still unbelievably powerful when he puts his programs together.
Right. I'm trying to copy him and Bob Law and also Carl Nelson. These guys have been putting it down, spreading the information through, and you can check them all out. They're on the radio. We just have to figure it out. But we have you. Welcome here, Hotep. Thank you so much, Baba, for making time to come to Las Vegas and speak to us again.
Hey, well, I'm glad to come out here in the desert and see what's happening. And I brought, normally people travel with books, but I travel with weapons of mass destruction. And that's what this is. This is the real history, and it destroys that whole system of negativity that we are educated by, we're socialized by. And so this is the victory. This is the work of Dr. Clarke, Dr. Ben, our brother Walter Rodney. Intellectual Warfare by Jacob Carruthers. We're not just in an academic setting. We're dealing with intellectual warfare. They've destroyed as much as they could the history, the real history, our history, because we are the beginning of history, and we have carried it to its highest levels. But we're not learning history, which is the unfolding of the human family on Earth. And in the universe, we're dealing with his story. So we had to break it down. The story of the Jeffersons and the Washingtons and the Abraham Lincolns. We need to get into the real deal. So like you said, we got to have a systems analysis. Most of us are caught up in a paralysis of analysis. And if you don't have this is the great text for African peoples. This is the victory. Civilization or Barbarism by Dr. Shekanta Diop. And that was one of our great he was the Imhotep, who was acknowledged by the Greeks to be one of the greatest thinkers of ancient times, this African, Imhotep. And so Shekanta Diop, D-I-O-P, he was the modern Imhotep. He really gave us the history of humankind, going back millions of years, not 6,000 years. That's a narrative that some other people have put on the table, but that's not the real deal. You got to go back not 6,000 years, if anything, 6 million years. And that's a mind blower. People can't fathom that. And then modern humankind doesn't begin with the Greeks or the Romans. You got to go to the Kemetic people of Egypt and Nubia. And that's, let's say, 3, 4, 5, or 6,000 years ago. But we are the ones who initiated that, not some Greeks or not some Romans or not some people coming out of the desert. So it's truth-telling time.
Yes.
And, I've lived it. Don't intend to stop right now. Professor Smalls, to have a partner like that is, you mean you got a double-barrel shotgun.
Yes, sir.
Blasting through the African world, bringing up that truth. But the beauty is, it's a family affair. I'm fortunate to have a African queen. We've been married for 53 years.
Amen.
And she began the march to Africa before I did. In 1960, she was in Nigeria. Then I went in 61 to Ivory Coast. Then we met, and the rest is history. And
So you met on the continent?
No, we met around the continent.
Okay.
She first went on this program, Operation Crossroads Africa, that a minister up from Tennessee, but found his base in Harlem, and he set up the Church of the Master on Morningside, right across from the park, down from Columbia, on 122nd Street. And so she was a part of his church, so she went to Africa in 1960. I was in Europe. 1960, I was 59-60. I was meeting Sheikh Anta Diop in meeting the man. My life was changed when I met this man. And not only did I meet him, I met his mentors. He is the greatest mind that we can talk about in modern times. And he had a mentor. He had a mentor and the mentor's wife. They had set up a book study center, meeting place, publication house. And so to show the key to us being family and men and the women working together, he dedicates this book to this mentor. This great mind, Sheikh Anta Diop, had somebody whose feet he sat at. And his greatest work, he said, I got to recognize this brother and I got to mention him. Now listen to this. These people come out of a Muslim tradition, Africanized Muslim tradition. They come out of a French tradition, intellectual. They come out of a struggle, Marxist-Leninist tradition. But the heart of it all, the foundation, is their Africanness. So they Africanize. All of those intellectual, spiritual traditions are Africanized. Senegal is a heavy Catholic country in terms of the leadership, even though it's a largely Muslim. But here's this relationship between this brother and, I have to add, his wife, because his wife continued the great work. I dedicate this book to the memory of Alioune Diop, who died on the battlefield of African culture. Alioune, you knew what you came to do on this earth. A life entirely dedicated to others. Nothing for yourself, everything for others. A heart filled with goodness and generosity. A soul steeped in nobility. A spirit always serene. Simplicity personified. Explanation point. Did the Demerge want to provide us with an example, an ideal of perfection by calling you into existence? Alas, the terrestrial community to which you knew how to convey better than anyone else the message of human truthfulness that sprang from the innermost depths of your being was deprived of you too soon. But the remembrance of you will never be erased from memory of African peoples to whom you dedicated your life. That is why I'm dedicating this book to your memory in witness of a brotherly friendship that is stronger than time. Sheikh Anta Diop. Hey. Don't get no better than that.
No, sir. And you, just so everybody will know, you translated this.
I took a year off. Dr. Clarke gave me my orders.
Dr. John Henry Clarke.
Dr. John Henry Clarke said, we can't wait 20 years for this to be translated from French to English. You need to take time off. Now, this came out in 81 in French. I couldn't go to Africa in 81 because the Black Study Department was expanding like crazy.
Right,
we had gone to Egypt with Dr. Ben in 81. And then 82, we went back to Egypt with Kemet, with Dr. Ben. So 83, I finally got a chance to take a break and go to Europe. I had been to Europe in 1959-60. That's when I met Sheikh Anta Diop. So I went back to Switzerland to hide away to translate this work. But it was too powerful. The first 100 pages is his speaking truth to power, to European power. Scientific, speaking truth to the scientists. He establishes the African origin of humankind. And I had to get dictionaries and other books to translate all of these fancy terms that the brother used. And so I was in deep water, but I was on mission. So I had to continue to translate. But because I see African people struggling and I raise issues, I'm in the World Council of Churches that Professor Scobie's childhood buddy was the head of. All of the Protestant churches in the world was headed by Edward Scobie, my partner for 25 years, from the little island of Dominica. And Dr. Philip Potter said, well, Dr. Jeffries, if you think we're not doing enough to help the struggle in South Africa, and the churches should do more, then I'm going to put you in charge of a task force to deliver for the churches, from the churches to the people in South Africa. So I didn't want to run out of the World Council of Churches yelling and screaming, but I was glad because that took this off of my back. And so I had to get into taking all of the information coming from the struggle in South Africa, all the computerized data, all of the telecommunications, and then synthesizing it and then sending it out to the world churches. So I edited a book called South Africa in Crisis. And this became secondary. The greatest book in the history of the world became secondary because it was so deep. But once I got past the scientific part in the first 100 pages, then the next 100 pages deals with anthropology, sociology, and then the last 100 pages deals with Nile Valley civilization. And so, yes, I take responsibility for doing this, but because I couldn't give up my career of educating the world, I passed it on to a young brother Dr. Ben introduced me to, and his name was Yalenge Ngemi from the Congo. So he completed the work.
Wow.
And finally we got this work. So it's about brotherhood, it's about sisterhood, it's about family, it's about knowledge, it's about truth. If you tap into it, you'll transform yourself. If you tap away from it, you'll become weak. It's a debilitating process when you're trying to deal with the system of white supremacy, and that's all you got. The antidote is the African truth. You need to Africanize your... Dr. Jeffries, I'm not African. I'm from Jamaica. Not Jamaica in the islands. These are Negroes who say they're from Jamaica out there at Kennedy Airport. South Jamaica. I'm not African, I'm Haitian. But brother, if there are people on earth that are African, it's the Haitians. And so you got to shed that misinformation and get into Haiti now. And then our brother out here on the West Coast in Oakland, San Francisco, Dr. Wade Nobles.
Yes.
He's produced a monumental work. It's fancy because, he's an intellectual but a spiritual brother. And he named the book The Island of Mimes, M-E-M-S, M-E-M-E-S. I had to go to the dictionary and get, what the hell is that? I mean, let me get and he's talking about ideas and consciousness. And so he talks about Haiti's unfinished revolution. And he goes through all of the development of the Haitian leaders, from Bokman, who came as Obi-Man from Jamaica and brought his African spiritual ideas. Cecile Fatima, the sister who said we need to go back to the traditions. We need to go back to the Bois Commun, the woods, and do our rituals and our ceremony and call on the power of our ancestors. And he goes through Toussaint and Pétion, the mulatto, and Dessalines, the revolution. In other words, it's the most brilliant thing. This is what we need to do when we're talking about our own family history, our own community history, our own how we relate. Malcolm didn't stand as an individual. Malcolm was supported by a deep family. Brothers and sisters, aunties and uncles, mother and father, mother coming from the Caribbean, father coming from Black America. So when you talk about Malcolm, you're talking about a family process. The ideas that produced him, we need to study. Well, Malcolm didn't do this and he didn't do, well, that ain't, Malcolm had a conflict with the Nation of Islam. That ain't it. We go past that to the deep ideas. How did this brother decide that he's going to give his life, he's going to shed his blood for this greater consciousness of our people? That's what we need to study. And then he made sure he had a partner. Malcolm couldn't produce no babies. And so he got a partner, who Dr. Betty. And she continued. Can you imagine being with Malcolm where they're threatening his life? The American government, the international government, the conflict with the Nation of Islam. So she lived through that, pregnant, She already had 3 babies. She was carrying 2.
She was actually carrying a baby when she cuddled
twins.
Malcolm as he
had
died.
the twins in her when he was murdered, and then he fell down from the podium. And then she was right there. So she's cradling him while she got these twins in her. And so when you see Malcolm, you just don't see this revolutionary spirit. You see a brother who was a brother, who was a family man, who went through hell. You know, he had a good foundation in terms of his family, mother conscious, father conscious, both of them Garveyites. They own their own land. They're raising crops. They're handyman. And then he lost it. That foundation was gone. And so we need to see Malcolm going through the changes that we collectively had gone through in the 60s, 70s, 80s with the drugs, the crack, and all of that stuff, and then being sucked into the prison. Malcolm is an example. You can be devastated. You can be sucked into the prison. You can be pimping. You can be selling drugs. But there is reformation, rebirth. And that's what he represents, reformation and rebirth. And he only had a period of about a dozen years to do it. You see, we have to see that. Well, I've been a long-distance runner. I've been doing it in African consciousness since I was 11 or 12 years old. So that means I claim 70 years of doing it. Dr. Clarke was doing it. Dr. Clarke said, it didn't start with me. He said, I had 3 deities in my life. And that's when it started. His grandmother, his mother, and his 5th grade school teacher, Eveline Taylor. That's what Dr. Clarke says. That's when they recognized his genius. They told him he's going to be somebody, and he turned out to be a giant without a college degree, teaching the people with the degrees from Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, Yale, Morehouse. Son of a sharecropper,
right,
up from Alabama, Georgia, Union Springs, Georgia, and then they moved to Union Springs, Alabama, and then they moved to Georgia. And somehow, as a young boy, they instilled in him that you're going to be somebody, and he became a giant.
Isn't it funny that he had 3 females that really inspired him, queens?
Don't it sound a little like, I hate to say it, and I don't want to be advertising on your radio show,
no.
Don't it sound a little bit like Black Panther and Wakanda?
Oh, yeah, because their sisters were
they was there. There was mothers, there was aunties, there was warriors, there was queens.
That's true.
That's why people say, ooh, that Wakanda, that don't mess, that wasn't true, and that's myth, and then that's Disney, and that's Marvel. I say, brothers and sisters, you're missing the boat. The mothership is passing through our world with consciousness. You better grab a hold of it. Let go of that log of trying to integrate in America, that log of trying to be a successful Negro. The mothership is passing through our world. Nothing like that has happened. In a moment, African consciousness spread all across the Caribbean, into Brazil, into Nigeria, on into Egypt, into Turkey, and into Asia, into Korea. So even though you may have your critique that this was that and that was it, forget it. Look, have a systems analysis. Movies wasn't designed to do anything for us. Movies was designed to destroy us. And then the creator has said, I'm going to take the process that was designed to destroy you, and I'm going to put the potential for you to transform your world in that negative process. Out of it will come power, strength, glory, resurrection, rebirth. And it's got to be balanced with the human. It can't be just the man. It got to be the foundation of it all, which is the women. So the women have to be in the mix. They got to be essential to the mix. They got to be the leadership. They got to be the warriorship. They got to be raise the babies. They got to be the queen mothers. They got to be the wives. They got to be the daughters. That little sister running around there as a scientist handled that so beautifully. She should get several Oscars for her role. Destroying the image that black people created nothing, women ain't capable of doing nothing but selling their bodies or giving it away. She's giving away science and knowledge, and that's what the African woman did. She birthed the knowledge with her children. She continued the knowledge. That's why one of the greatest images I have of African history is Queen Mother T. Now, most of us know Queen Mother T because it's in the popular culture. That's the grandmother of King Tut. That's the mother-in-law of Nefertiti. So we know Nefertiti, who was coming in from Turkey and married into the royal family. We know Tut because of the mask. Tut ain't did shit. Tut didn't do nothing. He didn't have time. He was on the throne at 15. He was murdered at 19. So what could he do? But his older brother, the Pharaoh Akhenaten, had 16 years. And he produced miracles. And his father and King Tut's grandfather, Amenhotep III, had 36 or so years with this great Queen T as they ruled together. The greatest civilization in the history of the world was ruled by a black man and a black woman together. And when he died, which it was going to happen to all of us, she didn't go crying, moaning, groaning. She stepped up and ruled for 12 years by herself.
Right.
And then kept it for her son and ruled with him 16 years. And then little Tut comes in the picture. He had a big funeral, which was small compared to what funerals are, because you're making this transition to the universe. And so Africans celebrate. You all got to get into this. You all don't know what you're missing. Enjoy life. Get good jobs. Do what you have to do here. Look beautiful. Get all that beauty. But if you don't tap into this spiritual nest that our people have left for us, you cannot heal fully. You think you're healed, but then when you get a problem and something, then you fall back down. You think you found a queen, and then we find out that she ain't as queenly as she should be, and then you caught. And so every night you in a dilemma. You want to go this way, she wants to go that way. Or you'll find that she may want to go that way and you want to go this way, but you didn't hook up with her mama. Her mama would have told you that she ain't quite right. You should have hooked up with my other child. That one is going in the right. That's the thing that makes this world go round. And if we tap into that, that's the spirituality. The materiality will create great wealth. You have a world drama taking place. The greatest and wealthiest people in the world are playing out on the world stage that they have money, they have power, but they do not have spirituality. So they're doing the work of the devil. And they're in the White House doing the work. But they ain't the first person. The first people to move in the White House was doing the work of the devil. I'm talking about Jefferson, Washington, Madison, Monroe. So I'm saying, when you have this knowledge, you can move through life with power. You can handle problems. I'm handling now. In tears coming now. I can't help it.
Right. That's right here.
I can't help it. My father's father, my grandfather, was murdered by the Klan in 1917. He was born in 1968. So this is the 150th anniversary of his birth. But I never knew him. My father never knew him. My father was in 1914, my father was born. My father was 3 years old. He never knew his father. But that father planted the seeds of greatness in so many thousands of us. I mean, I had a chance to meet him in the graveyard. After I was with Alex Haley for 7 years helping him do Roots, the book. And then in 76, the book was making money, but they saw the real money making in the movies, and that was the film. And so they told Alex to complete the book quickly so we can get to the film. And I was there. Alex called me 7 years. I had a $500,000 grant to help Alex Haley with Roots.
Right.
So nobody closer. I was closer to Alex than his own brothers. And then when the movie came out, his secretary, girlfriend, called me up and said, "Len, I see a problem here." I said, "What is it?" Usually she called me about their romantic problems, and she wanted advice. But she said, "I'm looking at a contract, and the contract says Alex Haley signed over to David Wolper and his heirs forever and ever everything about Roots for $50,000 or $100,000. It made $150 million.
Right.
And so here Alex is dealing with this, and I'm in there dealing with it with him. And my thing is just like this brother talked about a love with his mentor. I had a special love for Alex Haley, a greater love than his brothers had for him, his biological brothers. He had an older brother, George, who was a lawyer. He wanted to be a part of the Nixon administration. He had another younger brother who was an architect. So these three, however, you study the family. And the family, unfortunately, Alex didn't pass the white test. He was the white sheep of the family. In other words, his father was a college teacher. His mother was an educator. And his father was teaching at Ithaca College up there in Cornell, where James Turner and others developed a great Black Studies program. But Alex went to college and dropped out. Alex didn't graduate college. Don't tell nobody. So he was the white sheep of the family. You're supposed to do what white folks do. You're supposed to get a white degree. That legitimizes you. Fortunately, he didn't have the degree from the white college. So that took away the blockers that would have prevented him from going deep into the study of roots. He would not have even attempted to do it. Because you linking an African village to this great movement of history. Dr. Clarke wouldn't have done it. Dr. Ben wouldn't have done it. Dr. Land may not have done it. But this guy who didn't have all the complications that we have, he felt that he should do it. Now, Dr. J, you got to back that up. The backup is Malcolm. Well, how the hell does Malcolm have to do with roots? And because Alex Haley is associated with two great works. The first one is the autobiography of Malcolm X.
That's correct.
Yes.
And so when they met, Malcolm and Alex met, it was because of the Playboy interviews. Playboy and Malcolm.
Right.
And so Alex, because he had learned in the Coast Guard, didn't go to college, but his learning was in the Coast Guard. He learned to write. He learned to take people's ideas and put them up. These people in the Coast Guard were mainly little white boys, poor white boys, Southern white boys, who ain't had no imagination, no background, no training. So they wanted to communicate with their mothers, their lovers. And so Alex wrote their letters. In the holds of a ship, he's writing letters. That's where he perfected his skill. But he also perfected his, not egoism, his modesty. So even though he helped you, it was what I'm supposed to do.
With love.
With love. The same type of thing that Sheikh
talks about it in our origins.
So he honed his skills in taking people's sentiments, just talking to you, getting your sentiments, and then putting it down on paper.
But I tell you what, Doc, before we run out, because I know some people have blown up our phone lines. I see them all lit up.
Well, tell them to come on out. Don't be calling out to get. They want to take advantage of your program to get their egos puffed up. Come on out.
All right.
And get the spirit so you can move through life with power.
Well, we'll take one or two just to make sure we don't have people cursing at us, because this is the People's Station, and it's usually about us, but we want to hear what they got to say, and they definitely want to reach out to you. So good morning. How you doing? Welcome to the Like It Is Radio Nation. Tell me you got me locked in on Facebook. You're a constituent. You're already listening.
I have you locked in, but I don't want to get puffed up, Dr. Jeffries.
Hey.
When you look, Dr. Jeffries, you didn't bring the last poets with you.
Oh, but I feel guilty about it because Abi Adun had called me a couple of weeks ago and he said, Dr. J, I'm doing this thing on our great leaders. And if you could just give me a few words that I could use to go. Well, Sonia Sanchez did hers. He was supposed to have sent me some material on what I'm doing for him. And so when I go back home from Malcolm's activities, the first person I'm in contact is my brother Abi Adun, and say, brother,
absolutely,
put anything you want to help your work. When my wife and I celebrated our 50-something wedding last year, he came. He didn't come just to enjoy the process. He wrote a special ode to us. This is the last poet. This is new life for him with this whole Black Panther thing. And then his son is in Texas. His son was named after the African pharaohs that built the pyramids. You had Khufu, Khafra, and Menkaure. He named his son.
Now, I will be there, but I want the people to be mindful. If you're going to revolutionize the mind, you have to stay focused.
Yes,
and we here in America are not focused.
Yes,
we want to do everything else except tap into our history.
Right, but let's clarify that. We're focused. We're focused on that whip, that lash that's coming on us. But you can't build with the whip and the lash. We have been in a protective mode, a survival mode, and it's one of the greatest protective and survival modes in the history of humankind. But to build for eternity, you have to have another level of consciousness. You use your one fist in martial arts to protect, and then you use your other fist to build. And so we have to build. We're into struggle mode, but we have to be into developmental mode, and that's why.
Will you speak on reparations?
Reparations is absolutely necessary. I just spoke 2 Sundays ago with Silas Muhammad and the new Black Panther Party leadership, and I brought in a consciousness that they had never had. We need not only reparations, but we need to understand the system. We need internal reparations as well as external.
Ooh.
External reparations. External is demanding what is owed you by the system of your devastation and destruction. Internal reparations is what you owe yourself, and they don't. And that's what we have to do. Malcolm and the King and others, they were fighting the system, but they knew we needed internal reparations. You heal yourself. You put your strength together. And so that consciousness of waiting for $1 to come in from the white boy, he will give it to you. He'll give you $1 million. He'll give you $1 billion. But it will be so wrapped up with his system that you won't do nothing with it correct. But if you give your own self, I'm trying to figure out, how did my grandfather survive the South of these United States when the first Klan rose in 1866? How did he and his brothers get land? How did they build their institutions? How did they build their churches? How did the school that they built 125 years is still standing? And when I met his tombstone in the graveyard in Georgia, it was the tallest tombstone there. It was a Tekken. It was a symbol of rebirth and resurrection. It had the twin pillars of masonry. It had the star, the all-seeing eye. In Georgia, 1 foot out of slavery, this brother had the wherewithal for survival culture for our people. And then I have been saved death and destruction so I can add to what he laid down. I need to study him. How the hell could you come out of slavery? Who prepared you to step out of slavery? Fullness. You and your older brother. He was born in 1865, the older brother, at the 13th Amendment. My grandfather was born in 1814 at the citizenship rights. And his later wife, half white wife, was born in 1870, giving us the vote. How the hell could they come out of slavery with nothing when you weren't even human and build? How could you build church institutions, a membership, along with the man's group? They had the Daughters of Ruth up the road from the Masonic Temple. I was learning that from my Aunt Bessie. I thought the South was a place where we just beat down, had nothing, no response to it. But out of that red clay of Georgia, and not too far from us, came the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He was able to come up with something. So we need to change this whole focus. Internal reparations. I don't need shit I don't need nothing from the crackers. We got it all.
All right, well, we got some passion here. You know what you're getting now. This sitting at the feet of a master teacher, passionate, telling us about his past, bringing tears to his very own eyes. We do apologize.
Tears of joy.
I understand that.
Hey, I'm glad that that the Birth of the Nation movie, coming from the Klan book, the book The Klansman, came in 1915, because I wouldn't be here, because my father was born in 1914. If the Klansman book had come a couple of years later, there wouldn't have been no Leonard Jeffries. So I'm giving thanks that the damn ass Klan came with their mess in 1915. People have to excuse me for getting a little rough with the language, but as Reverend Bud says, Dr. J, you can't cuss in my pulpit. I say, it's not me, Reverend Bud, it's the African Holy Ghost. I'm just carrying the message. But luckily, the Klan did not emerge a couple years earlier. I would not be here. And my grandfather had 13 kids. And then him and his beautiful wife, they was raising 7 of their own kids. How the hell could you, if the chaos of slavery and after slavery, how could you raise 15 kids and then raise 7 others of your brothers and sisters' kids? The only way you could do that ain't no slave consciousness. That's an African consciousness, that the African family sees not just the bloodline, but they see the other lines. Africans have multiple. That's the beautiful thing about the African culture. For example, an African woman sees a beautiful black brother and they marry, but it's not love. It's the relationship of the clans that is at the centerpiece. If love is a part of it, beautifully. But when that woman marries into that other family and they have to compensate her, it's not a bride price. You're losing the best thing we got, which is our women that produces and produces and produces. So you got to give something to replace that. But you do not replace her. You may do symbolically, that's something. But if she has 7 brothers, all of those brothers are fathers for her child. If she has 7 sisters, all of those sisters. So she not only has her husband's brothers and sisters, she's got her own brothers and sisters. The African cultural system is magnificent in terms of how it protects us. We need to read those systems and try to put some of that in place. That's what my people had in Georgia. They took care of each other.
Family.
One of the great brothers, Bishop Peter Randolph Shai, he says he knew what happened to my grandfather because he was a young boy growing up in his house. And the family, they had to get past these crazy white folks, so they didn't do a big deal about the murder. The tale of the family was that he was riding on his horse and his neck hit a branch, and the horse jumped up. No, but the real deal was he was a leader of the community. He didn't have to link at no white women. He had his beautiful wife, and they were raising children. He was murdered because he was a leader of the family. And when I saw that tombstone in that graveyard at night in Georgia, I had never been to rural Georgia. There was no reason for me to go except on mission. And Aunt Bessie told me, she said, your grandfather is buried in Midway Church Cemetery, Jasper County, Kelly, Georgia. Before she said that, I said, Aunt Bessie, where do we come from? She said, we come from Ohio. I said, Aunt Bessie, ain't nobody come from Ohio. We moved out of Georgia to Ohio. Where is your grandfather? And then she gave me the direction where to go. And I found it. I rented a car after I flew from the set of Roots with Lauren Green. And he's talking about, isn't this wonderful? It's everybody's history. I said, yeah, it sure is. But inside, I said, yes, brother, but it's a special history for us. Rented a car in Atlanta, cut down the Georgia countryside. Ain't never been to rural Georgia. My mother would never let us go. We could go to rural Virginia every summer. She knew how to take care of us, but rural Georgia, she didn't want to deal with that. So for the first time in rural Georgia, there I am. It got dark, but I'm on mission. Turn the car lights on. Was in the church. The church was open. I went in there and said my little prayers. There was a bigger building on a hill above the church. I didn't know what that was, but that was the schoolhouse that they built. Then I went into the graveyard, and there, the tallest tombstone in the graveyard. I'm scared as hell, shaking. But I got a stick because I was afraid of snakes. But I'm a city boy. That little stick wouldn't have done nothing with those rattlesnakes or whatever was in there, cottonwood snakes. Right. But the people said if you knew what the South was all about, you would have been worried about ticks. I ain't thought about no ticks. I had me my little stick, went into the tombstone. And then to see the tombstone, I got pictures of it up to my chest. The twin pillars of Jesse Jeffries, born August the 10th, 1868. August the 10th, in the week that Marcus Garvey was born, 10 years later, Marcus Garvey was born in 1878. And so here is this grandfather who had this consciousness even before Garvey. And so for me, it's the greatest thing to have known, to discover that. I wouldn't have discovered it if I had not worked with Alex Haley. Working with Alex Haley allowed me to discover myself.
Right.
And so I pass that on to whenever I say, look, you know how long ago I discovered it in '76, and the tears still come? They still come. Tears that we never had a chance to shed. But we didn't have to shed no tears. His seed is in us.
Yes.
Yes. That's the greatness.
Well, I tell you what, let's get one more. Can we get one more in there? I know some folks still on the lines there. We got 3. Oh, my God. I know y'all want to talk to this great master teacher. You have an opportunity tonight to come out and hear him at Miss Shamika Webb's organization, her store, African Traditions. Cheryl, I know it's on Valley View. I think it was 1041 Valley View or room 110. But anyway, you're hearing a master teacher. You better come get some of this knowledge because Vegas isn't often graced by it, but we will have a full Malcolm X weekend happening at the West Las Vegas Arts Center and the Library Theater. You're getting calls here. Everybody's trying to reach Doctor. You realize what you're hearing. Take this class. Come hear our master teacher.
Of the radio station Power.
He got other people calling him.
I just held up your father's book.
He's talking to Wayne Noble's son. Amazing here. This is what we do right here.
Live radio.
And there's a lot of stuff going on Malcolm X weekend. So he had to take that call. We do appreciate it. But as you know, you have a chance to hear from a master teacher.
Okay, thank you.
I heard that saying, all right. We appreciate you too. We try to get him. We got to get Dr. Wade Noble down here because, oh man, if we get a power pack thing. But let's get this caller in because we run out of time real quick. Can we get it? No, okay. Well, we ain't got no time. That's what I'm being told.
Okay.
But that's okay because what happens is we're going to take the last 2 minutes again to tell everybody.
When is your next show?
Our next show won't be till next week, but we're going to do the Malcolm X.
I'm saying we could squeeze in something next week. I'll be back in New York, but then I just did a call from Birmingham. If the brothers from Birmingham could call me to deal with Malcolm X, and then I said, well, Brother Small is going to be with the group in
London.
No, at the grave site.
At the grave site,
And he said, I know that Brother Small is coming on after you. Now, if Birmingham can have Jeffries start it off and Brother Small finish it, you could.
We can do that. Bang, bang. It's not so it's said, it's done. But we are here this weekend. Oh, we got my man LJ from Mastering Mindsets in the place to be, one of the organizers of the weekend. This brother here,
Look,
they do stuff. He heard you last night. They do stuff in the community for our youth, and I tell you, reach out to that group.
He got his ankh and showing off.
He knows. This brother here is gifted. In fact, he wants to travel with you and Baba to the continent, and they do have tours. You can go to the slave dungeons in Gori, and then you can also go with them to Cairo, Egypt. They got tours, yo.
And we got to probably have a chance to stop and see the dig that our brother Tony Browder has in Egypt. And so my brother got his little ankh, so I didn't want to leave this in the hotel because some of the, I've lost stuff in hotels, but this is what Tony brought me back just to.
Wow, that's beautiful.
With my wife. And so this, I'll be wearing this Saturday.
All right. Well, we're going to get up on out of here because we're going to do something. But remember, you can go to Lordland Films. Check it out on your own TV. Cox Cable subscribers. We're in 29 million homes. You can go to Lordland Films through your YouTube organization that's there and just see what we've been doing here at Power 88 under the great leadership that's provided us to have this opportunity to talk about a little bit of blackness. We appreciate you all. And remember, it's all passion. We got to figure a way forward. There are so many things happening this weekend with the spelling bee and other events. We're still in a political season. Power 88 is part of the fabric of this community. We like to be the drum. Just participate. Come out. Malcolm X Day tomorrow, Saturday, all day. We got events going on and featured speaker Dr. Leonard Jeffries in the evening after our 7:30 program.
Open to the community, open to everybody. It's no reason why you shouldn't come. It's an all-day event.
But bring some of that sneaker money and that jewelry money so you can buy some books.
That's it.
I don't want to go back to New York with these books. I got a book, and you need to get some knowledge.
And you provide both, sir. So, again, come on out because we're going to do this right. Las Vegas, thank you so much for celebrating Malcolm X Day 2018. It's the People Station, your man Franklyn G. Check us out on Lordland Films. It'll be there for you.
Would have been 93 years old tomorrow.
What up? Okay.
This is Like It Is Radio, Black Intelligent Talk Radio.